Baruch Hashem. Yesterday we were on the J train.
The Jay-Z train.
The Jay-Z train. Some strange sparks over there. Be careful of those sparks. Probably the free will decision by that train is to just say no. Just say no. Unless he did tshuva, I'm not sure. He did tshuva maybe. Everyone could do tshuva. We're speaking about all the things that happen in the entire world. Every single situation, circumstance is an opportunity to use your free will and connect to God. Everything. And not to think like, oh, I got to some weird, far out place, and why am I there? And so frustrating. I got on the wrong train. And no, the test now is don't get frustrated at that moment. God knew what He was doing. It's all an opportunity for growth. Okay, we're in an interesting section now. We're about to take another plunge in. That's step one of how the sparks of God get to different places. All of this is in the giant context of this time of year during these 6 weeks of Shavua, which is the time that we're returning ourselves to Hashem. We're returning the sparks. So it's extra active time of tshuva. I want to go into something else today. And then we said all the different spheres, when God made the world and He broke, He shattered the vessels, the sparks went everywhere. Sparks everywhere. Now you should know, when we came out of Egypt, it says He pulled out all the sparks that were in Egypt. Meaning, that's why a Jew's not allowed to go live there. You can't really live there in Egypt anymore. There was times maybe they went a little bit. They were living there short term, but we can't go. All the sparks are gone.
What about just vacation or just to see
like a Pesach program, 8 stars. It always makes me, smile a little bit. We got out of the land of Egypt, so I have Pesach in Egypt. It's a bit funny.
It's like a victory lap.
It's a victory lap. It's interesting. They're all kosher, I'm sure. Mitzvah Shem, the programs. I'll tell you a secret. Pesach for thousands of years was the holiday that you make in your home. Okay, people want to go on the program, that's fine. But the idea of Pesach is really being your home and give over the Messiah really to your kids. It's a very intimate time. Yeah.
So if that's the case, why was it an obligation during temple time to go to the temple?
They made their homes in Yerushalayim.
What are you?
They made it.
So all the Jews specifically was close to the temple?
We lodged here for the entire Pesach. We made our homes here, yeah.
Oh, I see.
We made our homes in Yerushalayim, but we didn't, and you only ate the Chabura. It was a very VIP exclusive crew that ate the Korban Pesach, and you told over the story of leaving Mitzrayim, what we do today.
What are the miracles?
Very VIP. You couldn't switch Chaburas, there was halachas about this. It had to be set up beforehand.
Yeah. Also, one of the miracles is for every regular, there'd be enough housing for all.
That's right. A person never said, I don't got any spot in Yerushalayim. Everybody had space to lodge in Yerushalayim. It's one of the miracles.
So you're telling me that 6, 7, 15
Correct.
Jews can go to Israel?
Correct. In Yerushalayim, in Jerusalem. Yaakov.
Does that include Har Nov? Like how big of an
Yeah,
area?
Yerushalayim. So this is the first step of the journey. So when we left Egypt, it says that we took all the sparks out of Egypt. And I'll tell you what that means. Chazal explained that when we left Egypt, we did such a powerful experience of God awareness that everything came out, with all the godly energy came out. A little bit maybe was put back there. And the way it's described is like a person with a fishing net. If a fisherman goes with a fishing net, so there's one thing to throw your line over, like whoop, sitting there. with my great uncle. We'd go fishing, put the worm on. I grew up in a generation where like my great aunt, she'd like, yeah, I'll worm that thing. I'm like, yeah, you know, tough people, yeah, put the worm on, no problem. Go fishing. So it's nice, they don't get that many fish. And then all of a sudden you get somebody there who's got one of these boats and he puts the line down and he's just, it's called a trawler, and then he just trawls in. Literally, it sweeps the ground, and how many fish do you get?
All of them.
Them all. Especially if it's the right size net. So you get everything, and then there's a break. It doesn't snag on something, whatever. You make bank on that. So it says when the Jews left Egypt, it was like we took a fishing net and we swept all the godly sparks out of it. We swept it up. But you'll say that there were Jews that were back in Mitzrayim, the Rambam, the Arizal. They were there for certain periods of time. Sparks kind of went back a little bit. Now we're going to describe today how sparks can sometimes get trapped places through our actions. First we describe how sparks got scattered because Adam, what happened in the creation of the world, and then what happened with Adam and Eve, and that means godly energy went to the four corners of the world, and that's why you have Chabad houses in Papua New Guinea. I'm not sure if they're actually in Papua New Guinea, but basically everywhere else. The wildest places. You have Yidden putting on film and finding you kosher food, so that you can make free will decisions there that are good. That's called elevating the sparks. I'm going to describe way number 2 that sparks get taken to places. This way is a bit more spooky, so I hope, you guys ready? Yeah? Fine. This gets a bit crazy. Hasheni, the second way that sparks means a way to exercise free will and choose God in all sorts of situations in life. That's called a spark. And when we said you're elevating the sparks, it means you make the right free will decision wherever you are. I drove with one of my dear friends about a month ago. We drove from Englewood, New Jersey to Columbus, Ohio. About a 10-hour drive. We went to some interesting, gas stops along the way. Went to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for a Mincha Ma'ariv in a young Israel. And all sorts of interesting encounters when you're driving 10 hours through Pennsylvania into Ohio. And I was in a rest stop, like those classic rest stops, like Starbucks, random gift shop that just says like I love Ohio, and then bathrooms.
Yeah.
So I'm walking in, and all of a sudden like this older couple, probably in their 60s, and their daughter, probably in her 40s, they say to me, they're just like, "Good Shabbos." It was Tuesday. It was Wednesday. "Good Shabbos." It's like, "Oh, good Shabbos to you. Thank you so much. That's so nice of you. Like, so nice to see you." I'm like, "So nice to see you. Thanks for saying hi." So I, use the facilities, come out, and like they're getting into their car, and I just, I say, "All the best to you guys." I'm like, we just, I know it's early in the week. We just really felt like we just wanted to like, say hi, where are you from, and this, and there's a feeling like they wanted to just feel connected. They weren't wearing kippas or anything. But on a Wednesday, they just felt like, and there's people around us, like hearing us say about Good Shabbos to each other. And there's a point that all of a sudden, in some random place, there's a discussion about God happening. Shabbos, the day of God. People that are just friendly together, talking about Hashem. These are all called sparks. Who knew that in that random place, in somewhere in Ohio, I don't know where it was, that there was a spark there that had to be elevated. And by the way, you have to realize, you're going anywhere that you go in this world, there's an opportunity for you to make positive free will decisions. That's called elevating the sparks. Now, God forbid, what happens if you don't make the right move? Then the spark gets deeper and deeper lodged in something we're going to describe in a second. As it gets deeper and deeper lodged into that place, it becomes more concealed. That God in those places, it becomes darker and darker. That's not what we want. We want there to be more and more godliness. Okay? So here's way number 2 that the sparks go places and you got to go rescue them. Okay? I'm trying to make esoteric ideas very relevant. That's the idea here. Sparks and stuff, and just, that means making good free will decisions in all sorts of interesting situations. Okay? Here we go. Hasheni, hem nefashos hashukos. The second category of sparks is when something called nefashos, souls, or godly energy, gets swallowed up, gets gobbled up into impure forces. Okay, I'll describe a little bit more what this means. Asher oshok adam belial. Okay? This is crazy. This is like adam belial. Just like there's a man on the side of holiness, the holy man, the man of kedusha, a man in his divine godly state. There's something called when man descends into evil. Lo aleinu, God forbid. Man in his fallen state, in his very ugly state. And we're trying to achieve man in his elevated state, to be the greatest perfected people possible. And that's the Jewish message for humanity, is become great. That's what we're telling the whole world. Every day that we're here is just one giant conference on how to become great. It's a year-long conference, and it's annual. And that's all we're into, is teaching people how to be great, to become the godly man. Godly man, when I say man, I mean man, woman, it's generic. And the fallen state of man is called Adam Belial, which is basically another word for the dark side. In other words, there's like Mahavdil, Elef Alf Avdalas, there's like Luke and Darth Vader. They all got it. It's all from us, by the way, you know that. There's the man in, so to speak, fighting the side of light, the side of goodness. And then there's man in his fallen state, of just how bad things can get.
Esav and Yaakov.
Esav and Yaakov, that's right. Okay, now, this fallen dark energy, what gives it life? Remember, there's nothing but God in the world. Ein oid milvadei. So, how does evil get its life force?
Satan, it's hard.
So, where does the Yetzer Hara get its life force? Where does the Satan get its life force?
From God.
Was it from God?
Obviously from God, it's all from God.
From our bad deeds.
Oh. It gets its life force when we do things we shouldn't be doing, and therefore we, so to speak, there were sparks, there was a relationship with Hashem that was available, which was our soul could have attached to something in that moment. But instead of our soul attaching to this, we take our soul and we put it into a dark place. The dark place then grabs on. It's nothing physical here, I'm describing a conceptual concept. The dark side then grabs onto that energy. It like links in.
Parasite.
Like a parasite links into that energy and then feeds off that energy. Feeds off the juice from the godly stuff.
Is that what klipot is?
Yeah, the klippas only get their nourishment from the fruit, from the good stuff, from the soul. I'll give you a very good analogy, but it's all conceptual. You have a king of goodness. And what does the king of goodness want? You guessed it. Goodness. To give good to the whole world. And the king of goodness, why do you want to be close to the king of goodness?
Good.
Because he's so good and benevolent and wise. And he's brilliant and he knows how to design society and he actually loves you for real. He's the king of goodness. And he has an only daughter, the princess. And she's also filled with goodness. And she's filled with beauty. And the king will help you become the best person in the kingdom possible. Like the real stuff. There's only one problem. There's a kingdom of the no good one. There's a kingdom of evil out there. And you know what the king over there is all about? You guessed it. Bad. Evil. He's not interested in helping you become the best. In fact, he wants to just exploit you for all your resources, for his own selfish power. Now, the good thing is, if you resist his temptations, then you earn your greatness through free will. So that's why he exists. But what's his greatest power move? What would be the greatest way to create power in his kingdom?
This is looking good.
If somehow he could go and capture the princess of good and lock her up in his dungeon somewhere, like with a dragon. Now you see where they get it from? Okay? If she could be captured there, what would that symbolically do to his kingdom? Would that pump him up? Oh, he will be very powerful from that. People will say, well, he's got like the card, he's where it's at.
He's got an ace on his sleeve.
That's right, he's like that, the energy is by him. Why do you think the evil nations of the world were always trying to steal Jewish items from the temple? Why do you think the Romans always Titus into grabbing our menorah? Anybody been to Titus's arch? Titus's arch? Yeah? Hey, where's Titus and the ancient Romans? They're carved into an arch. That's what they are. They're nowhere. They're nobodies. Where are the Jewish people?
Sitting in issue.
Alive and well, Yerushalayim HaKodesh, steiging, growing, gewaldig, spreading love to the whole world. That's what we are. The Romans, the ancient, gegangen, nothing. Yeah, but that's right. But they made some noise along the way. They knew though, if they can get our stuff, there's like a power to that. Why do you think Achashverosh was putting on the clothing of the Kohen Gadol? Purim's coming, my friends. You know that? Never too early to get ready. I don't mean drinking-wise. I mean getting ready by psychologically preparing yourself. What gave Achashverosh the impetus to at the big feast? He pulled out all the vessels of the temple, showed them off, and in the conclusion of the feast, he puts on the garments of the high priest. Because when you do that, you're in a power position. It's a power move. That's how you're careful with things. If you walk into some company and you're applying for a job as one of the executives, and you're not an exec, and the CEO has a spot in the boardroom and you're going to be interviewed, do you go and sit in his chair? Why not? Nice chair. Mahogany, Italian leather, it's good stuff.
This is a hierarchy.
Because that is a sign of, that's a power move. To take his chair, that's a chutzpah. What about better? You steal the chair, and then you take it to a new company, and it's a famous chair. Everyone says, maybe this company is the real company. You got a hold of something. That's why the king has a scepter, things like that. If you could take the king's scepter, it means like maybe the king is weak. So if the side of darkness can capture the princess and trap her, then it gives great power to the side of darkness. And he feeds off of that. It gets much more graphic, but I don't want to go into that. It's very, very deep, this whole topic. This is the secret called Golus HaShechina. So when we, God forbid, do an Aveira, a sin, we're taking our godly soul and we're, so to speak, sinking it in, we're putting it into the palace of the no good one. Okay? This is what it means, Adam Belial. Literally means that the one who swallows up, like they ingested, they swallowed up. The princess is captured, the sparks are captured over there, and you guys gotta get the job done. You know what that's called? Rescue the princess. Rescue the princess. All of Judaism summed up is rescue the princess. Rescue the princess. We have to go and rescue the princess. Means your soul. It's a code word for your soul. And it's a code word for all the godly relationships in this world. You have to rescue them. They've been trapped. That's why do you think Hollywood is so pumped up? because they've stolen. So, look how many people have, and sadly, how many Jews are in Hollywood making movies that are not appropriate. They're not giving good messages. There's a lot of sparks that have fallen over there. That's why they're so mega. Even though, in my opinion, I think they got weakened recently. And I'll bring you proof that they got weakened, which means there must have been certain tzaddikim were doing extra mitzvahs, because apparently nobody's watching the Oscars, right?
Yeah.
So Will had to do like a fake punch. That never happened. It was just a spiel,
Yeah.
right? Just a show. What a show. You did that just because the ratings were low. I mean, people are less interested in you. So they had to do something wild, but what happened? Then people got more interested, so then more sparks fell into that area. So it pumped them up again. We have to rescue these sparks. Because this is called Adam Belial. So me Adam Arishan dechetoi, things fell from Adam Arishan, asher shalosh l'rav. From the chet of Adam, many sparks fell into these bad places. Ki yadua haflogas haneshama shasher hir b'lashoik. Many things were now trapped in their possession. And when we, God forbid, do Averas, we also pour energy. This is all found in Rabbi Nachman Torah Aleph. We pour energy, God forbid, doing Averas, pour energy and give life force to the dark side. When you do mitzvahs, you rescue these sparks. Says the Orach Chaim, we'll pick up with this tomorrow. You want to hear the most powerful way to rescue the princess and rescue the sparks? Ve'ein lecha davar shepoiked alav lahaitzi biloi mipiv. There's nothing more powerful that helps literally draw out all the sparks that have been swallowed up by evil forces. And I'll tell you, the way that it's described, the way that the prophet describes the experience is you have to really throw up the sparks. He integrated it. Everybody knows that's the way. If you want to get can't get it now. Sadly, the sick people, sick. They trafficking drugs, and they take something, they swallow some
balloons.
Balloons. First of all, that is sick. It's all worth it, man. It's all worth it, man. No, it's not.
Especially when bursting your gun.
Yeah, that's horrible. That's horrible. They think though oh, now you can't get it now. I saw the key or the Bitcoin thing you'll never get it. So the dark side thinks that they've trapped these sparks. By the way, this is all parts of us, parts of you, parts of your neshama that are trapped. That's why sometimes God bless you. Feels like I don't feel like I've got enough energy. I'll tell you why, because there's a party that's leaking energy. That's there's a parasite on you. If there was a leech, thank you. If there was leeches on a person, they don't feel that, filled with energy. Why not?
Because the blood's gone.
Because they're getting sucked into energy. That's what these forces are doing. They're sucking them in. What's the most powerful way to literally have these forces, excuse my French, vomit up the sparks? There's nothing as powerful. You ready? Zulas emtsois esek ha'torah. The most powerful way to pull out these sparks is by learning Torah. There's nothing more powerful. When you learn Torah, we're going to talk about, because Torah is like a magnet. You start magnetizing your soul back to yourself. You start magnetizing all blessing and life back to yourself. This is the tshuva. Okay, this is what's really going on in the world. This is the tshuva of Shavim. We should mamish be zoyed to this, to bring all the sparks back to Yerushalayim HaKodesh, the Bidin Beis HaMikdash, b'mher v'yameinu. Amen. Wonderful day. Chazak u'baruch.